that I have done this year is get a divorce. That was the best thing I've done. I feel so happy. I feel lonely at times, but I feel happy. I love my life. Love it. I love it. I love my co-parenting. I love everything that I'm doing. If I wouldn't have got a divorce, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, and I love it, and I'm so grateful. And gracias, Diosito, por abrirme los ojos. 13 years later, no hay pedo. I'm out. I'm free. I'm happy.
I got divorced when my baby was only 1 year old, and that always comes with a lot of questions like, how did I know it was time for divorce? My ex-husband and I were two very independent people. I always explain it as like we were riding down the same river, but we were in two separate boats. I'm waving at him, he's waving at me, but we're doing our own thing. But when you have a baby, you don't get to ride in two separate boats anymore. You have to combine to become a team, and he was not able to do that. And our baby was riding in my boat, and we were riding down the river by ourselves. I was living life as a single mom while being married, and at that point, it's like, why the fuck am I married? We tried therapy. I do take blame though in the fact that he would always say, well, this is who I've always been. He was right. He was acting like he always did. I had just told myself, oh, when we have a baby, it'll be different. A word from the wise. Someone shows you who they are. Believe if he's a grown-ass adult man, he is not going to change. And when that fighting started affecting my baby, that is how I knew. I grew up in a household of two people who should not have stayed married for the kids, but they did. I think that's one of the worst things you could do. I saw a loveless marriage. I saw constant fighting. I didn't get to see what a healthy marriage and relationship looks like. And now we've been separated for over 3 years. We co-parent like champions. Our son is the happiest kid ever. Austin gets to see not only two incredibly healthy, happy parents, real examples of what marriage and relationship is supposed to look like. For that, I am forever grateful.
And people keep asking, okay, but why now? Why after only a year and a half? So let me be very clear, because I owe that honesty, especially when millions of people watched me say I do. I got married at 28. I'm 29 now. And yes, I'm getting divorced after a year and a half because the foundation was never real to begin with.
Story time about why I decided to leave my ex-husband. Keep in mind, before I left him, I was having all of these really gut-wrenching feelings in our apartment. I had left town for about a week and a half because I had gotten my gallbladder removed, and we were fighting, and he told me that he couldn't take care of me and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be with family to process everything and decide what I want to do with my life. And I literally couldn't sit up out of bed on my own, and he said that he was not going to be there to help me. So I was like, okay, I need to go get some help because, come on. So the whole time that I was home with family and had left and everything, he completely ignored me. I could not get a hold of him. No matter how many times I tried to call him, text him, no response. So I was spiraling because I was like, okay, at this point I hadn't asked for a divorce. I hadn't officially left. I just had left because I just got my gallbladder removed. And I was spiraling. I was like, I can't even get a hold of my husband. This is not okay. This is not healthy. And I start spiraling because I'm having all these gut feelings that he's bringing a girl to our apartment, he's cheating on me, what is happening? I finally got a hold of him one night and he answered my FaceTime call. It was probably a 5-minute phone call, and he probably said 2 words the entire time. He just stared at me. There was nothing in his eyes. He just was looking right through me, would not say a word. And I was like, can you just talk to me? Can you communicate with me so that we can figure out what's going on? Why are you so upset? Why, what is happening? He was really upset that I went home to be with family because he's like, well, I should be taking care of you. And I said, well, I don't understand because you just told me you couldn't take care of me. So I decided to go home. I was like, dude, what do you want from me here? When I finally realized that he was not going to talk to me, was not going to communicate with me, I just said, okay, I love you. And he just stared at me. Guys, I kid you not, he just stared at me. I'm not even exaggerating. And so I said it again. I was like, I love you. And he just stared at me. And I was like, why can't you say I love you? And he ended up just hanging up the phone. He never said I love you. So I texted him and I was like, why can't you say I love you to me anymore? Why is that so hard for you? And he said, I'm trying to love you, but it's just so hard. When I tell you my heart shattered into a million pieces, no woman wants to hear that, especially from their husband. And so at that point, I just basically cried myself to sleep. Because I'm like, okay, I can't get my husband to talk to me whatsoever, so we can't work through this, we can't communicate. He just said that it's hard to love me. What the hell am I supposed to do? I had just gotten my gallbladder removed. My health was at the worst place possible. I literally, at this point, through all of the abuse within the relationship and stuff, I had just literally lost myself, felt like a literal shell of myself, and I just was so lost. But at this point, I still didn't know if I was going to get divorced. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I honestly think that he wanted an out, but he didn't know how to do it, which he did tell me that one time before. He said that if we ever get divorced, you're gonna have to be the one who leaves me because I don't have the guts to do it myself. Excuse me, sir? Who the hell says that? What? And when he said that, it's not even like we were talking about divorce. He just randomly was like, yeah, if we ever get divorced, you're gonna have to be the one who leaves me because I'm not gonna have the guts to do it to myself. Sir. So I truly believe at this point he was just trying to make my life so incredibly miserable so that I would leave. There was one night that I literally felt like I was just like praying to God and just kind of like wrestling with God, like, tell me what to do, like I don't know what to do. And I remember just feeling a ton of peace, but just feeling like I needed to stay home with family a little bit longer. And I knew that if I told him that, he was going to be super upset because he was already pissed that I was even home with family. Like, he was so upset about it, which I think was the main reason why he decided to give me the silent treatment and not talk to me. But like, come on, grow up. I told him the next day that I was staying longer. No response. Like, he was upset at this point. I was just like, whatever. Then the next day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go home because, you know, I just felt like I need to go work on a relationship. Like, I need to figure this out, figure out what I'm gonna do. So I go back to where we were living. Keep in mind, the whole time that I was home with family, I hadn't had like a panic attack at all. I go back and get in the car with him, and immediately my body starts freaking out. Like, I feel like my throat is closing. I start like full on just panicking, like panic mode. When I got in the car, he was not even happy to see me, which no one knew that he was like this behind closed doors, because as soon as we would get around people, he'd put on this face and be his bubbly, happy self. But then as soon as we were behind closed doors and in private, like, he would just shut down and just like be so pissed at me and couldn't get a response out of him. And so it's like no one knew this was happening, but it was so manipulative. So at this point, I'm back in his presence. I'm having a full-blown panic attack. Like, my body's literally responding. My body was quite literally rejecting him. I remember after that panic attack, I was like, I just had this feeling like that's my answer. I can't do this anymore. And I just remember being like, no human should have to live like this, in this much stress and misery, and like not even feeling safe around your partner. And I remember walking back into our apartment. Keep in mind, I had been gone, like I said, for like a week and a half at this point. And I go back into our apartment and I just felt sick. Like, I felt like I was gonna vomit in there. I did not want to stay the night there. I felt physically ill. And I just had this gut feeling that someone else had been there when I was gone. And you guys, like, I can't even describe the feeling. I just felt so ill. My mom was there and I told her, I was like, I think I need to get a divorce. I'm just like sobbing. And she was like, because she didn't know anything that was happening behind the scenes. My mom and my ex-husband did not get along, though. They did not like each other. That was very clear. But my mom was in shock and she's like, okay, let's call your dad. So I call my dad sobbing, tell him what's going on. And he basically said, like, we'll support you in whatever you choose to do. But he said, and this will always stick with me, he's like, the Lord does not expect you to be miserable. Which gave me peace too, and just knowing like, this is not how marriage should be. This is not from God. If it was, then it would not be abusive, manipulative. It would not be causing me this much.
If a woman tells me she's getting a divorce, I'm going to say congratulations. And here's why. Because I know that this decision was not made in haste. That she has tried everything to make it work. Over the last couple days, I've talked to hundreds of thousands of women, and I've asked them, how long was it between when you emotionally checked out of your marriage to when you filed for divorce? And what was happening in between that time? And the average was 3 to 5 years of emotionally checking out before actually filing for divorce. So women don't just wake up on a random Wednesday morning and decide, you know what? I'm going to divorce my husband today. Because happy women don't leave good marriages. Happy women don't leave good husbands. Women that feel supported, women that feel safe, women that feel acknowledged, women that feel happy and loved and validated, those women aren't leaving good marriages and good husbands. The women I've talked to said that they tried and tried and tried. A lot of them said that if they thought they just worked on themselves a little bit more, they made themselves more available, they did more therapy, they tried being, more available. They tried and tried and tried to work on themselves in hopes that it would make things better in their marriage.
but it didn't. It wasn't like they weren't putting forth the effort. In a 3 to 5 year amount of time, they were trying everything under the sun. They were doing individual therapy. They were trying to get their husbands in couples therapy. They talked to them. They communicated this way, that way, and the other, and they still went unhurt. I think, and this is my personal opinion, I think that men know their wives are unhappy because they've been communicated to. They've been talked to. The women have tried explaining to them how they're feeling, what they need from their partner. And I think the men simply don't care because I don't think that they ever believe that their wife will leave them. Because a lot of them are stay-at-home moms. A lot of them have no financial means to actually leave. And therefore, men just assume that they're going to be comfortable and complicit. And that women actually won't do it. And that's why we hear so many stories of men being blindsided when their wives ask for a divorce. It's not that they didn't know their wives weren't happy. They knew. They just didn't actually ever think that she would pull the trigger and leave. This is also why so many more women are filing for divorce than men. Because men can stay. Men can stay because they're still benefiting. Because especially if they have kids, the wife is still stepping up and caring for the house. She's caring for the kids. So why would a man want to leave? Why would a man want to go and get a divorce when he can just say, yeah, you might be unhappy, but I'm still benefiting from everything. And then they weaponize their support because they know that they can. So the next time a man says to you that women are tearing their families apart because they randomly woke up and decided that they wanted a divorce, send them this video.
What I didn't know at the time is that I married someone who was performing a role, a very convincing one, the kind of person who doesn't show up as who they are. They show up as who you trust. I didn't knowingly marry a narcissist. Nobody does. If narcissistic abuse came with a warning label, half the weddings on Pinterest would be canceled. What makes it so dangerous is that while you're inside it, it doesn't feel abusive. It feels confusing. It feels like you are the problem. It feels like you just need to communicate better, be softer, be more understanding, be less reactive, be more patient. You keep adjusting and somehow the relationship never does. And once I started talking about this publicly, just small pieces, the response shocked me. Hundreds of women in my inbox saying, this is exactly what I'm living through. Women saying they stayed longer because they thought they were crazy. Women saying, seeing you leave gave me permission to leave. That's when I knew this wasn't just my story anymore.
70% of divorces are initiated by women, and as a divorce lawyer, I can tell you that women are not divorcing men because they're bored or ungrateful. They're divorcing because they're tired of doing everything. In marriages where both partners are college educated, that number actually jumps to 90%. But why? What is making these women walk away in such high numbers? Well, the answer is simple. Women are expected to work like they have no children and parent like they have no job. They're expected to be the emotional support system, the household manager, the one who remembers birthdays, doctor's appointments, and what shoe size the children wear. Meanwhile, many men still believe that just providing a paycheck is enough, but it's not. Women are not leaving because they hate marriage. They're leaving because they're exhausted. They're tired of doing all the invisible labor that no one acknowledges. They're tired of being expected to handle everything while their husband thinks he's helping when he loads the dishwasher once a week. Most women do not leave for another man. They leave for themselves. They leave because they refuse to live another decade feeling like a single mother while being married.
Bow, 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 yeah, bitch, yeah, ho, it's a motherfucking celebration. It's a celebration. This cause standing ready for the hearing with Judy submitted by testimony of a technical court brigade magistrate court date the issue upon January 21st. Order, judge, decree, plan, tap, Mihalong Chow is hereby awarded an absolute divorce! Divorce! Divorce from the defendant, Karim Skinner! Woo woo! I don't even drink, bitch. But let's take a shot of water. It took way too long to get that divorce, but it's done. It's done. Too long, now I gotta move on. Do it on myself, what I need you for. Cheers to divorce. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm divorced from my ex. My ex. So we had gotten married. This lady came over to the house and married us. She never put paperwork in. So I thought that I was not married the entire time after we separated, because I went up to the courthouse and they told me that I didn't need to file for a divorce because there was no complete divorce paper. Then I got audited by the IRS, and the IRS said, ma'am, we need proof of divorce. It doesn't matter that the paperwork wasn't through. You still was married. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And then he was getting on my nerves by making me waste all this money on a lawyer, because I flew all the way out there and he literally could just fucking sign the paper then and there, but he wanted to be a fucking complicated asshole and walk out of the fucking courthouse while we're in the middle of fucking sign. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Free. Woo! Now I can move on with the next chapter of my life. Right before Valentine's Day, this is amazing. Thank you, God. God is good. I thought my New Year's was starting out rough for Lunar New Year's, but seems like it's going in a good direction because divorce!
I spent about $200,000 on a wedding, and I ended up in divorce. Let me tell you what I've learned. At the time, I really believed that a fancier wedding was a testament to our love. I obsessed over the perfect dress, the venue, the flowers, the dinner, thinking that if everything looked magical, the marriage would be magical. But when the party was over, real life set in. All the fancy details couldn't hold us together. I was so worried about impressing everybody else that I didn't ask myself, am I actually building something that's long-lasting and real? Islam has been telling us this forever, that simplicity brings blessings. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that the best weddings are the ones that are easiest in expense. But I had to live through the pain to truly understand it. Don't get lost in the show. Focus on what comes after.
I have been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships, and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my 4th baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do. Right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier, because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash, and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle, and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me. Because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point?
What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me. And it's not.
I'm Sarah. I'm 32 years old. I'm going through a divorce. And in the middle of the summer, I restarted my whole life. Like, got my own apartment. Never lived on my own ever in my life. Got my own apartment. Got my own car. Refurnished my, like, just everything brand new. Started all over. Something that I've never done in my life. And the reason why I've been able to do anything, like any of the things that I've been able to do over the last few months, is because of the work that I do. And I've been getting a lot of questions over the last couple months of me posting on here of like, what exactly is it that I do for work? Because this page is more of a page where I just like yap about whatever. It's like a very random page. I just like talk about whatever. But what I do is affiliate marketing. And this is what I would do if I were starting from scratch. Like if I were starting all over from scratch in terms of what I do for work, this is exactly what I would do, because it is precisely what I did. I would get into social media, not necessarily needing to be an influencer, because I'm not an influencer. You don't need to be an influencer to make real money online. And that is a big misconception that people have, is that you need to be an influencer, you need to have a large following. So wrong. I was making some of the biggest months of my life when I had like maybe 1,000 followers. Like, it's not that you don't need to have a large following, it's who is actually following you. I would get into digital products, whether you're creating your own digital product, which if you can solve a problem for someone, there's always going to be people that are willing to buy the solution to their problem, and people will always use social media to sell their solution. Like, that's never going to go away. So I would get into digital products, either create something of your own in whatever niche it is, whether it's the fitness niche, the wellness niche, beauty niche, whatever it is. If you don't know what to create, if you're like, that sounds great, but I have no idea what I would ever create, this is why I say it has never been easier to create the life that you want, because I had no idea what to create. I had no idea what niche I would be in. I didn't have the time to create anything of my own. I was 5 months pregnant. Like, I didn't know what to create. So I started by selling someone else's product. I purchased a course. So full transparency, I did purchase a course, and I learned everything from it. That same course came with resale rights and allowed it to be my first digital product. And I sold that product. That paid me out over $400 every single time, and I sold it over and over and over and over and over again. And that is literally how I made my first 100K in 2 months. Everyone's journey obviously is going to be different, but I can't stress enough that I'm nothing special. And I literally changed my life, and I did it again 2 months later, and like it's changed my life. So if I were starting from scratch, I would get into digital products. I would create a brand new social media page, and if I was in my head about people seeing my page, I would block them, which is literally what I did. Blocked everyone that I didn't want to see my page because I didn't want to get in my head. It's nothing personal. It's just like, if it's going to get in the way of like what you need to do, don't let it get in your head. Create a social media page and be consistent. There's literally no secret. That is literally what it is. If you want to learn more about exactly how I got started, comment ready on this video. You can also send me a DM and I will send you all the information.
So all the divorced women or soon-to-be divorced women who have to still live with their soon-to-be ex-husband because of, I don't know, you're trying to sell your house or your lease isn't up or whatever the reason is, but you still are living with them while your divorce is going on. Like, how do you manage it? Our lease for our rental is up at the end of July. But I've already filed, as you guys know, I filed for divorce like 6 days ago. And, things are getting awkward. We have had a couple arguments. I'm trying to avoid talking to him. I'm trying to gray rock, like everybody says. Don't get into these extended conversations. But because he's there and we have to talk about things like with the kids, it's just like I can't like avoid him. And what's even crazier is for some reason, he decided to take an entire month off from work. He didn't even tell me. I just got up and he was like there. And I'm like, how come you're not going to work? He's like, oh, I took the month off. He took all of March off. So he's like home every day. And then I thought he was going to go back to work at the beginning of April, and he's only been working like half days or a couple hours, and he's still home almost every day. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose or it's just a coincidence that right when I've filed for divorce, all of a sudden he's not going to work, or he's getting all these days off and half days and all of that. I'm taking people's advice, like gray rocking, try not to have conversations, try to just be cordial, but wow, like how do you get through it?
I got divorced at 53 years old after an 18-year marriage. And there have been plenty of times post-divorce where I've kind of lamented the fact that I spent so many years in a bad marriage. Why didn't I get a divorce sooner? I wish I was younger when I got the divorce. Now I'm realizing that at 53 years old, this was the perfect time for me to have gotten a divorce. Because at 53, I am no longer the focus of male attention. And because I'm no longer the focus of male attention, I'm no longer seeking male validation. When I was a teenage girl and I started getting attention from boys and men, I kind of found myself on this hamster wheel of wanting attention because the attention made me feel good. It made me feel pretty. It made me feel smart. It made me feel confident in myself. It was just a very slippery slope from receiving attention to actively seeking male validation. What a man thought about me mattered, because eventually it was going to lead to a man choosing me to be his wife. And once I was chosen as a wife, I could relax. I could just finally be myself because I was going to have this man who loved me and accepted me for who I truly was. But once I got into an actual marriage, I found out I was still on that hamster wheel. I was still seeking attention from my husband, seeking his validation, seeking his time. It just never ended. Now that I'm divorced and I'm 53 years old and I'm no longer receiving the attention from men that I used to get, I feel like the world looks different. I feel like I can make decisions with a clear mind because the only person that I'm thinking about is myself. I'm not thinking about what a man wants from me, what a man needs from me. And that goes for like big decisions to like even small decisions about like what I wear or how I do my hair. I'm just doing everything for myself. And there's just a freedom in that. If I had gotten divorced earlier, even when I was like in my early 40s, I don't know if I would have been able to be in this space right now. I think I still might have been in the place of seeking male attention and male validation. I would have gotten myself into the same trap. So yeah, I'm grateful that it happened when it happened, because it happened at the time that was perfect for me. And now I get to live a life for me.
I also want to say this clearly because nuance matters. There is a difference between narcissistic personality disorder and narcissistic traits. Not every selfish person is a narcissist. Not every bad partner is abusive. But when manipulation, gaslighting, boundary violations, and control become patterns, that's when it crosses a line. Looking back, the signs were there early. I met him during a time when I was isolated, working nonstop, and craving stability. He presented himself as safe, faith-driven, intentional, future-focused, all the right buzzwords. And yes, I believed it. When I tried to leave early on because our values didn't align, he didn't rage, he didn't explode, he persisted, he reframed, he dangled promises, he mentioned a ring fund like that was supposed to override my intuition. And because I grew up around manipulation, that level of intensity felt familiar, not alarming. That's the part no one tells you. Familiarity doesn't mean healthy. Sometimes it just means unhealed. Even when we weren't together, he never really let go. He stayed close.